Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, regardless of where you are. It's time for us to reflect on another passage that is explained in the book Our Daily Bread. Today, we're going to be covering chapter 5, Salaries. And just as a reminder, this program and other programs that we all enjoy here in Kardec Radio are brought to us by the team from Kardec Radio. So make sure that you follow them in the different social media platforms, that you do watch other programs like this one, and follow them on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Also, Kardec Radio has their own app where you can enjoy some very nice podcasts as well. So, without further ado, let's say our initial prayer and let's close our eyes. Let's connect with the spiritual world. Let's connect with our spiritual friends and absorb all the energy, all the positive energy in the universe. There are so many great things around us, so many things for us to be thankful for. We receive so many blessings in our lives, and we even are faced with challenges, but everything is for our development and our own growth. So may we learn the lessons that life offers to us, and let's strive to become tomorrow better than who we are today. So be it. All right. So this time we're going to be talking about again about chapter 5 from the book Our Daily Bread, and it's called Salaries, and it's based on a passage that is written by Luke, Luke chapter 3 verse 14, and it's a very short phrase. It goes like this: be content with your pay. So be content with your pay. This is very short. This is an actually this is an extract from the whole passage, and the whole passage is as follows: do not take things from anyone by force. Do not falsely accuse anyone, and be content with your wages. Again, this is Luke chapter 3, verse 14. So there is, in all these passages here of the gospel, there is a historical context. In this particular case, in this very particular case, John the Baptist was preaching, and he was having conversations with different groups of individuals, and it so happened that he came across a group of soldiers. Now, the gospel does not specify what kind of soldiers those were. Those could be Roman soldiers, those could be soldiers from the synod. Had could from that soldiers that serve the priests. Those could be soldiers that serve the king, or those could be some kind of militia. It's not specified in the passage. However, there is always this concern whenever we are dealing with people with power, or whenever we have some level of power, that is the risk of abusing power. So John the Baptist explains to them, actually reminds them not to abuse their power to extract riches, not to abuse their power to increase their wages, but to be content with the wage that they receive. They be content with the remuneration that they have, that they receive for their services. And here, Emmanuel explains to us that he actually calls this a besieged his enlightenment is a model of consciousness and good sense. So Emmanuel calls this a model of conciseness and good sense. It does make sense for all of us to be fair with the world, which is part of the law of love. Jesus said, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give unto God what belongs to God. So, meaning we need to be fair both ways. We need to be spiritual people and also be fair to the world. So, it also makes good sense for that. And a lot of people also have a missed the point. Just like potentially, if you were a soldier back in the day, you would see other soldiers doing wrong things. You would see other people extorting, you would see other people bullying others to extract any kind of advantage. And what John is telling us here is no, forfeit those things. Do not go that, do not take that route. And a lot of times that comes from our selfishness and also from our own pride in us trying to strive for something that we don't have yet or that we don't realize that we have. And Emmanuel here continues his explanation, indicating that some employees solicit salaries merited to by cabinet ministers without realizing the great responsibility that frequently converts world leaders or administrators into victims of insomnia and anxiety or martyrs of presentations and banquets. So a lot of times we see this situation in which people are so striving to have power, but they do not realize that that power, what that power can bring to them, that the additional responsibilities that that level of power would bring, and anxieties as well. So we have to understand that we are in a situation that we need to be. Some of us have attained a level of comfort, and some of us have not. Some of us have more responsibilities in this planet, and some have not. Some of us have a better position in this planet, and some of us don't. So it's just a matter of what's the necessity for each spirit. But if we are in a situation of power, we can just imagine the responsibility that that would bring to us, as it is indicated by the spirits. The responsibility, the trial of riches are so much greater than the trial of poverty because there are so many temptations that it can bring to us. And a lot of times people, and Emmanuel continues here indicating that there are learned men who give up the peace in their homes in exchange for increasing their salaries. Again, this ambition, sometimes individuals might lose their peace of mind. They might be stressed out and sacrifice things that are very special to them. For instance, their family, their peace, their inner peace. And for what? For to accomplish temporary riches, a temporary position. So that's not very wise. And we see that a lot. We see that it's not uncommon for people to sacrifice, again, sacrifice their family, sacrifice their health, sacrifice their time. And by health, I do not just mean the physical health, because health is something that is a lot more varied, is a lot more broad than just physical health. Per the World Health Organization, the definition of health includes not, again, not only the physical health and the mental health, but also emotional health and even social health as well. So if you're sacrificing, if you're really ambitious and you're trying to look for a position, you're trying to look for riches, for instance, for material benefits, there could be a price for that, and there could be sacrifices, and there could be an impact in someone's health. May that health be come in different ways. And Emmanuel continues in explaining that numerous persons persist anxiously and incredulously from youth to old age with afflictions and illnesses for not accepting the monthly salary that the human circumstances of life have assigned to them within the unfathomable designs. So again, what kind of sacrifices are we trying to make? What is it that we're putting? What is it that we're betting to acquire, again, a position in the social hierarchy, a position in the socioeconomic hierarchy of the world? And it's interesting that per Emmanuel, he explains to us that a lot of people from youth to old age. So think about it. uh, any professional starts his or her professional career at a very young age, and now with the population, with the average mortality of the population increasing, not increasing but extending, um, it looks like, people are going to be working until later stages in their lives. So just imagine how many years people spend searching for a position, searching for a for again for this these benefits per the material world. Not that there's anything wrong with trying to become better. That is also part of our evolution, because as we work, as we interact and try to solve problems in our daily lives, those that is also part of our growth, of our intellectual growth, as we study and we get ready again to pursue a particular career. There is a great deal of learning that is required for that, and again, that learning, all that learning, is very, very beneficial for the spirit. And also very, very important is the dealings, are the personal experiences that spirits go through in their professional careers, that provide them with so much learning. Interestingly enough, all of us, we spend a lot of time of our lives in our workplaces, and in depending, there are various classifications of what a workplace is. And a workplace can be at an office, the workplace can be in the field, workplace can be in the streets, can be in a classroom. So there's different scenarios that would be classified as a workplace. But imagine that if we calculate that we spend 8 hours a day in our workplace, that represents about a third of our lives, a third of our adult lives that is spent there. So, what kind of experience are we going to have as spiritists, as individuals who understand that life is not just about the material, that life extends beyond the material? We understand that these experiences can have a spiritual impact to us, and again, they are part of our learning as well. And it is possible, just like in any social group that we belong to, it is possible that in our workplace we might find individuals that we might have hurt in the past, individuals that do not are have affinity with us, and so also those experiences also help us learn as well. And so there is this great advantage for us in this whole experiences that we have in the workplace, as this in this whole experiences that we have through the whole in our professional careers. They are again part of our, not only part of our intellectual growth, but also part of our spiritual growth as well, as we interact with other individuals. And Emmanuel continues here: it will not be due to excessive remuneration that the individual will be integrated into the divine spheres of life. So now, here, Emmanuel reminds us that the material is not what it counts as far as our progress. Or the material remuneration is not what's going to count for us. This is not what's going to take us to the divine spheres of life, to the higher spheres of life. And on the second sentence here, he explains: if one individual remains conscious of the duties he or she is to fulfill, then the greater his her income, the greater his worry will be. So so just think about this. Now, if we know, right? So just now think about, if we know that, hey, there is a spiritual life, there are spiritual experiences that we have go through. So why focus our energy in what's material? Because none of that is we're going to take with us. Again, only our moral achievements, those are what we're going to take with us. Our intellectual achievements, what we learn, that's what we're going to take with us. And also our emotional achievements as well. The people we love, and those people who love us as well. So those are going to be our achievements. Those do last forever. So again, there's nothing wrong with us to pursue our careers. There's nothing wrong with us to pursue betterment and improvement of our life standards. What is wrong, as what Emmanuel explains here, is for us to being conscious, knowing of our duties, and then why should we be worrying about so much about the material? What should we be make that the focus of our lives? If again, that's not the way we're going to be evaluated, the way we're going to be graded, quote unquote, after we disincarnate. So if someone again is going to travel to a foreign land, he or she will have to be prepared for it. And by the way, that analogy is from the Spirit's book, from part four, um, chapter two, future sorrows, future joys and sorrows. So basically, sometimes we spend so much time getting ready, getting the wrong luggage for our trip. We all know for sure that we're going to disincarnate. We all know for sure that we're going to go back to the spiritual world. So, what kind of luggage are we going to bring with us? Unfortunately, per the passage here, we have this tendency of spending so much time focusing so much on the material. But guess what? Focusing on the material, it'll be the equivalent to taking warm clothes to a tropical land. And conversely, focusing on the material things and also material positions will be the equivalent of taking very light clothing to a country that has a very cold weather. So again, it is important for us to, again, of course, uh, we have our own obligations on earth, and it's okay for us to improve our lives. Again, that's part of our progress as well. But we should not do it in such a way that we put an emphasis on those and end up unprepared for our trip, for our upcoming trip in return to the spiritual world. It's quite also interesting that Emmanuel explains to us here, going back to the whole issue with wages and people willing to have different kinds of positions. And he explains, for a long time, there has been a popular saying that for a great, and so here's the popular saying, for a great ship, a great storm will surge. So basically, the acceptance of the salary, right, for each labor is proof that the labor is ready. So again, if somebody comes to the planet Earth and reincarnates and has again a position of power, a position of prestige, that means that that spirit has been given an opportunity to better use that. A lot more is going to be asked from that spirit as opposed to a spirit that has less. So whenever we are ambitious, or should I say overly ambitious, and we want just to absorb, we just want to gain riches and get into this into a better social status, we have to reflect again what kind of implications are going to be, what kind of responsibilities would I be incurring in a different position. Emmanuel finalizes here, explain to us that rather than trying to analyze the pay scale here on Earth, get accustomed to placing value on the concessions received from heaven. So it's kind of interesting that as well, because a lot of times we have a tendency of focusing so much on what we don't have that we are blind to all the blessings that we receive. And sometimes, or I should say many times, not being in a position of prestige here on earth, it is a blessing because again, it is less stressful. And one of the best things is to be in this position in which you have no prestige, or you have you only when you have or you do not have great amount of money, amount of power, because you know that those people who are around you, they are around you sincerely. Those people who are around you, they are around you because of you. They're around you because of all the great things that you can bring. But again, regardless of that, because again, the flip side of it now is okay. So if I have all these riches and if I'm in a position of power, what am I gonna do with it as well, right? I should not forfeit the opportunity of doing so much good with those with that I have. It's kind of like similar to the parable of the talents. So one servant received 1 talent, another servant received 2 talents, and another servant received 5 talents. It was up to each servant to do the best. It was not about the amount of talents that each one of them received. It was up to them to multiply those talents. So it's the same thing with us. For us, it's not about the amount of talents we have, the types of talents, which again we need to translate into our, our any kind of prestige that we have on earth, any kind of financial opportunities that we have, or I should say financial advantages. So regardless of the level of each one of those material opportunities, or should I say talents, quote unquote, it's going to be up to me to make the very best with those and help me grow with those, and also help all of those around me grow as well, and not to lose the perspective that we are spirits. We are just here on earth on a very short period of time, and we might think, wow, 60 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 100 years, and more in some cases. And we can think, wow, that's a lot of time. Not for a spirit. A spirit is immortal. So whatever time in years that we experience here on earth, they are a very, very small fraction of our spiritual experience as immortal souls. So again, we gotta always have those into perspective, and whatever decisions we make, whatever actions we take with the opportunities that we should always be focusing on the spiritual side. And again, regardless of our situation, regardless of our position, again, maybe that position of power or lack of power, maybe that position of riches or lack of riches, and the list goes on and on, because all of us have so many talents, all of us have so many opportunities that we've been ingratiated with here on earth. And the passage here from Luke, it tells us that it is all about how to best use those, and very especially, and very, most importantly, not letting whatever position that we have allow us to incur into bad uses. In this case here, he mentioned the soldiers, and there's a story behind the soldiers and level of corruption, and we gotta really watch out, because we can imagine that only politicians and people of power can be corrupt, but we can corrupt ourselves. And when is it that we corrupt ourselves? Again, is when we use whatever talents we have the wrong way. So that's the way for us. So we kind of corrupt that opportunity. We deviate from our path, which again is a path of ascension, is a path of growth. Not necessarily a material growth, not necessarily material growth. Material growth, well, nothing against material growth. Material growth is awesome, and it helps a lot, gives us great opportunities. But we gotta focus on the spiritual growth, because that's the one that stays with us, and those are the riches that stay with us. And especially, that is the kind of wage, quote unquote, our development, our growth, what we learn, and who we love, and all the good deeds. Those are the true kinds of wages that we take with us once we return to the spiritual world. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And again, just reminding everybody that programs like this and explanations like this are brought to you with through Kardec Radio. So again, make sure you follow Kardec Radio in the different social media, and and of course the app again. And if you believe you can help them financially, there's opportunities to help them financially and donate as well, because your contribution will help them stay active in all these different platforms in which they operate. All right, so it's time now for our prayer. And again, let's close our eyes and connect with the spiritual world, and thank our spirits, our friendly spirits. Thank the Lord for all the great gifts that we receive, regardless of the situation in our lives we are in. Those are talents that we receive and that should be better employed, or should say best employed for our growth and for the growth of others, our spiritual growth. May we be wise and may we employ those the best way possible. And especially, may we be grateful for everything that we have because once we look into it, if we look into it with an open mind and an open heart, we can realize that life has given us so much. It is up to us to use our free will and put all those opportunities to the best use possible, focused on our spiritual development. So be it.